We don't know that, and that's something that we don't really want to play around with either. There was some discussion about what all we could do with $10,000. We can do a lot of things. There are lots of things that are in need. Lots of different departments could really use that. People of Sierra Vista could really use that too. But on the other hand, if we are stuck with very little time frame to put up our own court with no plan, is there a plan for that? Was there a building that we have? Is there employees that we know will come and take over some of these things based on the information that was given to us earlier this week? There's lots and lots of different positions that fall under that, having a court. There's lots of different overhead, things, different supplies, lots of different, there's requirements that for a court to have. A lot of that stuff is very, very expensive, especially initially. It'll be a very big initial cost, but then there'll also be a large cost afterward. And even though it's something it's necessary to have that service, there's other options that we can think about, and I think it's very important to see what those other options are. But I think without a plan right now, it's not wise to risk that at this point in time. For the cost that it would comparing the $10,000 to $1 million plus. I could not look at the people of Sierra Vista and say, hey, guess what? All this money is going to have to come from somewhere else. Guess what? The quality of life is going to suffer. The roads, all these different things, you don't know what kind of ripple effect that's going to have. And even though there's been a lot of sacrifices in many different areas, and it's not an ideal situation, I think it's important to have a plan. A plan to go off of. And so right now it's not the time to do that, to stand up our own court without a plan. Going forward, if there is some more time and efforts put into it and there's an actual plan, I think that would be a good situation. Sometimes when you rush things, it ends up costing a whole lot more than you anticipate. And I think that's not a very wise decision. So I cannot vote no at this time. I do appreciate the members of the public, Mr. Wallace, coming in, and ma'am for coming in. It's very important that you come in and you ask questions and you share your thoughts. That's very important, and I appreciate you coming in. And I think this whole situation here also shows the importance of people running for office, getting involved. The person that is in this position right now ran unopposed. Initially, there was somebody but ended up running unopposed. So I think it's very important for everyone to know that it's important to have people that run for office, and for the citizens to have a choice, and for people to run for the right reasons. As Councilman Benning said, it should be a calling. It's a position of service. And so I feel like the people of Sierra Vista and those watching, they know the characters, the morals and ethics of this individual, and hopefully that will encourage someone in the future to run for office and to serve and do what's best for the people of Sierra Vista.
Thank you, Dr. Landry. Are there other ladies? Go ahead.
I really appreciate all the comments that my fellow council members made already, and the ones that came from Ms. Murphy and Mr. Wallace. I know it's not about the money, it's about the way it was done, but I do want to just put out there for additional context for everyone that the amount that Judge Kerfman agreed to, this amount that we're about to vote on, is on par with the other municipalities in Cochise County, like Wilcox and Benson. They're paying their magistrates. They have JP contracts with the county, and they're also paying their magistrates between $30,000 and $35,000, and they have half the caseload we do. So it's not far off, and I just wanted to add that. But I agree with a lot of the points, great points that were made by Dr. Councilmember Landry. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Mesmer.
Yes, I just believe that the county and and Mr. Kerfman do not see the citizens of Sierra Vista as Cochise County residents also, because if they did, he wouldn't have put us in this position. We voted, I don't know who voted, but people voted for him in from the city of Sierra Vista. He is our JP5 representative for our city, and he is not he's not, to me, doing justice for our citizens. So, and he knew what he was getting into the second time he ran here. It wasn't like he didn't know what was there. So, if a yes vote would allow the city to address us getting a municipal court in a timely manner, but right now I still can't say what I would vote until the question's asked.
So what you talking about before it comes up?
Right.
Or it's not the question as to what it would cost the city or how we would do the process to set up the court?
No, just the question for me. It's just I'll decide when you ask the question.
All right. Anybody else before I make some comments?
Just one more.
Go ahead.
Thank you. I did, luckily, our state legislators are real friendly. We had a nice meeting with them yesterday, and I talked to one afterwards. And on Councilwoman Humphrey's point, I did talk to them about what I see is the misuse of justice system in the state of Arizona, and that's the fact that all the JP5s have side deals with the cities because they're all holding our cities in the state of Arizona hostage with the same manipulation of the court systems, the same manipulation of ARS status or the resolutions in Arizona, set it up so the cities are in the same position we are. We pay to play, or we spend an enormous amount of money to play on our own, which a lot of municipalities are doing. But it is something I encourage our local state representatives to bring up in legislature is how do we eliminate these side deals on agreements that we're forced to make to be part of our county, and I agree with Councilwoman Mesmer. The county doesn't see us as part of their county. We pay county taxes to have a justice of the peace. We pay county taxes to have a sheriff's department, to have a jail system. Now you want me to pay additional taxes as a citizen to have those same services. So I'm getting paid double jeopardy, and I'm not going to do that to my constituents. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm sorry.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else?
Just one last thing, sir, if I could. I also want to thank Mr. Karp, who sent an email in to us as well from the public. So along with Ms. Murphy, Mr. Wallace, appreciate the feedback from the public as well as the email from Mr. Karp. So, thank you.
Okay, and we do certainly appreciate the public input. This is a very difficult thing to discuss. The way I see it, I tend to agree with Dr. Landry, but the way I see it is trying to provide court services on our own during a 4-month period while we have no funds appropriated, et cetera, is probably not the best action should we vote no on this tonight. That puts the public in jeopardy, which I don't think any of us wants. And it wasn't brought on by us, I will say that clearly. But to me, the only real solution, the practical solution, the workable solution is for us to vote yes tonight on this issue, get the contract signed by the Justice of the Peace, and then as we move forward, we have basically 2 to 4 years to set up a court, not set up a court, take the investments, take the money out of the budget to do the investments that we need to do it properly, and we have time to do that. But again, that portion of this decision needs to be made by the council next year. So I would encourage all members of the board to take that into consideration, as well as what you've heard and the feelings and the logic used by everybody else. This is not an easy issue, clearly. But I would ask you to consider that in your decision. Any other comments, questions before I call the question?
Oh.
Ma'am.
Yeah, I failed to mention that over the last year, I am aware of a couple attempts staff made looking down different avenues that didn't pan out to avoid this situation.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
and I
correct.
wanted to give them credit because we weren't just sitting around. We did try a couple things.
And that's one thing I'd need to do probably before we vote on this too, is to thank the staff, Mr. Patuchik, and our Assistant City Manager, Mrs. Yarborough, and the attorney for looking at a number of options and trying to figure out a better way to deal with the situation. And it is, in fact, it's a very tough and difficult situation for us to deal with, but I think they've made it a little easier and have been accurate with the facts and acted as impartial members as the staff should be doing.
Okay. Can we also talk about why Wachuca City wouldn't work, just for the public can hear that? Why we wouldn't, why they don't have the infrastructure, or how they don't have the
Well,
infrastructure?
Mayor Mueller, Councilmember Rodriguez, that is a good question. I mean, obviously, Wachuca City is, a 40th of our size or whatever, so they choose to run their own court. They don't have the caseload or the staffing to hear the number of cases. I mean, there is a number of county staff already involved in that, but obviously they must make enough in fine revenue to overcome things that we don't have to do currently, things like jail costs and that kind of thing that we would be subject to if we had our own court. Because as part of those numbers, I gave you the 1.3 to 1.5 million a year annual loss of running the court. Almost a third of that is jail costs that we currently don't pay to Cochise County and the sheriff for running the jail. That could go away if the jail district, becomes a reality in 2024. But right now, that would be up to the voters if it goes that way. So they just don't have the capacity to hear our cases.
And that's the bottom line, is that the capacity, they handle the load is not there. And it would take them, it'd probably be easier for us to set up a court than it would be for them to expand their capacity on an immediate basis. And that's the challenge there. Okay. I'm trying to get to a vote.
I know, Mr.
Okay.
Mayor. I just want to, so the public knows, I know everyone on council knows, and Mr. Mayor knows, and the staff is the one presenting it. If we do agree on this tonight with a yes vote, this is an offer. This isn't a done deal. The Justice of the Peace 5, Mr. Kerfman, has to accept our offer.
That's correct.
On top of this, so I just want
And if
everyone.
he doesn't accept the offer, we're back to square one.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So, everybody clear? No further comments? I'll call for the question. All those in favor? Opposed? It's 4-3. Thank you very much for the vote. Thank you for the very, very difficult discussion and being tactful and respectful of each other's opinions, as well as the opinion of the individual we're dealing with. With that, I see no other business before council. So I want to wish everybody happy holidays, a happy new year, and I'll see you next year in a different capacity. Meeting's adjourned.